So thank you, Revati, for accepting my invite, especially in the circumstances that you are right now.
Thank you.
So I got a call from her yesterday in the evening at about 7 o'clock. Can you change? I said, बड़े सालों से मुद्दत हो गई, मैं अपने आप को चेंज करने की कोशिश कर रही हूँ, अभी तो हुआ नहीं. Then she said, no, can you change? मैं बता तो रही हूँ, इतने सालों से चेंज करने की कोशिश कर रही हूँ, ढीठ बच्चों कुछ नहीं हो. She says, I want to change the date. I may not be available tomorrow. And I was like, can you all mute yourself, please? Thank you. And I was, oh my God. That's scary bit. It always is, because her brother's not well, and she really wanted me to find another speaker. To be really honest, at 7:30 in the evening, and when the program is going to be next day, it gets very, very tough. And I love her commitment. She had a statement. If you cannot find anyone, I will be there. That's called commitment. So let me take you back in my journey with Revati and why she is here. Most of the people who you've met over here, speakers, are my friends. We've shared either a bed, or we shared chairs together, or we shared some part of our life, or we sung songs together. There's something I've shared with them. And a part of them stayed back with me because of that. So with Revati, I think I met her about a year and a half back at Sounds of Shiva, and maybe even before that, but I actually met her and noticed her there. And she did a small constellation for me with my mom, and I found it very difficult to walk towards my mom. And I realized something was not there. You know, we can say I have a best relationship, but I really couldn't walk towards her in the constellation. That made me really think, where is my relationship with my mom not the way I'm perceiving it to be? My body is saying something. And then I studied with her. I had gone to Egypt. I and Aarti had gone there. We came back, and I'd had a very difficult phase in Egypt where I was inside the pyramid and I was walking up. You can't walk. There is no way you can walk. It's this small, tiny sledge. There is no oxygen inside, and you've got to crawl literally up. You have to literally crawl up. That's how I can explain. Because the thing is just this much. So you have to either crawl, sit and crawl, or you have to literally crawl up. So I'm crawling up, and at somewhere halfway through, and I'm saying, I can't go up. I was sweating. I couldn't breathe. It was not a very nice place to be in. And Aarti was ahead of me, and there were people behind me. And Aarti's busy standing and busy sitting and encouraging me, come up, come up, come up. I reached up, and this is like the second part at which you reach. Beyond that, once you go up, you actually reach the chamber. I couldn't go to the chamber. I had to crawl back, and by then there was a man, and I'm screaming out for help, and this man walks down, and I look at this man and I think he's come to help me, and I look at him and he says, I've not come to help you. I'm going down because I have to go down. I'm saving myself. That left a very deep impact in my brain. And that was the first constellation with which we started the program with Revati.
Yeah.
A whole new world opened up for me. I met a lot of teachers. If you really want to learn family constellations, go to Revati and learn.
Thank you.
I also learned everything that she has given me. Along with that, we went to Bert Hellinger Institute. And we spent time in that institute, studied together, and came back. And we were planning to go when COVID-19 happened. So the journey that I began with her, and I don't think I opened up myself completely to her till we were on the way back and we were sitting at the airport and I was talking to her about my deepest scars of life. It's very difficult to bear it when you are yourself a therapist. It's because somewhere there is an inauthenticity about saying that I'm perfect. I've never been perfect. I don't want to be. Yet, there are parts of my life I want them to be really happy and nice. Revati has helped me explore the parts of me and connect with parts of me which are very beautiful parts of me. So, Revati has played a very huge role in making me feel complete in many, many places. She's a very good therapist, guys. And like I said, if you want to learn, so I must mention here, I also did learn under Kirti Bakshi. The only difference, I did not do the program under her. I used to keep visiting her constellation. So I saw a lot of constellations that she had done, and I really enjoy the way she does it. So Karuna does it too. I do it too, but I connect it with mental health. So people are different. Revati, I really, really find your commitment, and not just commitment, the thoroughness with which you are dedicated to your work, commendable, amazing. You're one of the person who I would look up at and say, if I want to learn, I would learn from the right person, and you felt like the absolute right person for me. Thank you for coming in my space. There is one more good thing about Revati which I must mention, and I will also mention that I felt a little bit of distance still with her. So two things. Let me first give the part that I'm still struggling with Revati. She knows it. She knows it. So we went together, Germany. We stayed in the same place, but paas ho tum par kareeb nahi is the feeling. और बाद में आके इन्होंने कहा शुक्रिया because I am always somebody who needs that much of space and you allowed me. I have always allowed people space, Revati. But feeling वही रही कि पास हो तुम पर करीब नहीं. And I kept telling myself I don't bite people. So I would really like a little bit more kareebness. Thank you. You understand what I mean.
Yes.
The very good part of her is I've seen her encourage all her students. They actually go and post what they're going to be doing and where they are taking their next workshops on her group. I haven't seen a large-hearted teacher like that. She is just... So today what you're getting is a cream. And she's going to touch on the topic that is relationship with the significant other. I spent a little time because this is really important. Your qualifications are not important for me. Your connect right now is important. Because at this time with the lockdown, it is the connects which are making a difference. It's not your qualification that's making you move anywhere ahead. Thank you so much for coming in my life. Thank you so much for touching my life. And thank you so much for teaching me everything that you have. Thank you. Over to you, Revati.
Thank you, Anu. This was very touching. And may I just add as to how my first interaction with you was?
Sure, go ahead.
I'm pretty sure I do not know if you ever remember it. That was 2014 when I had just wound up my corporate job and I was back in Mumbai and I was doing therapy and yoga and everything. And destiny has a way of taking you to a place. And I found myself on the Meta Health site and I picked up the phone and I made a call to you. And we spoke very briefly. And I'm quite auditory in a lot of ways. And your voice stayed with me. And so when we met again at the Sounds of Shiva workshop, it was not the name, but the voice that connected with me.
Wow.
And And I knew instantly there was something there. Because even in 2014, though I never came and met you in person, but I did know in my heart that we have a journey together. And wow, look at us here today.
Absolutely.
We have made such an intense, such a beautiful journey together. And what's amazing about you, Anu, is the way you uh, the way you show your vulnerability, the way you show your struggles, your strengths, all of it. And I think just by the very fact to know it all, to hear it from you, itself heals so much. And I still remember our conversation at Munich airport on the way back. And I was blown. I was amazed because that just shows the amount of depth you have to yourself. And you don't try to cover up anything. That just shows how much of strength you have. Your roots are really deep.
Thank you,
So
Revati.
thank you. Thank you for inviting me in, Anu. Actually, this is an honor for me because you've been calling in so many great people here on your connect here. And indeed, it's
Calling
an
my
honor for me
friends.
to be here.
I've been calling my friends and my teachers. No great people. They were all people who touched my heart and changed my life. My life would never be the same if they were not there.
And that's what great is all about. Not about perfection, but just the vastness there. People who come and change us so deeply. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so may I just know how much time we are looking till 11:30?
We have till 11:30. You can even go beyond that if you want. The time that
Okay.
actually space
Okay.
Zoom is 2.5 hours. I don't
Okay.
think anybody's going to move once you're going to start. So just
Okay. Okay.
go.
Okay.
No time restriction. Just go ahead.
Okay. So I'll try to keep it compact, but that's good to know because in case there is something that needs a completion, then we don't need to leave it halfway. Because I think as everybody would appreciate that, relationship with the significant other already has so much embedded in it.
Revati, just 1 minute before we go further.
Yes.
Guys, an announcement for all of you. Tomorrow there are 2 sessions. One is in the afternoon with beautiful man from Philippines. His name is Raju Madhian. I don't know whether I'm pronouncing it properly. And in the evening, we have a TEDx speaker. So at 9:30. So we have 2 sessions tomorrow. One at 2 o'clock, one at 9:30. That's all. Thank you.
Super. Okay. So when I begin, let's begin from the beginning. And which is just, I won't take too much of time dwelling upon what is family constellations. But as Anu said that, there are so many of us who are practicing family constellations. So it's good to give your perspective of how you see it. So for me, constellations is more about an inner soul journey. It's like, I love to give this example where it's about, you see a group of children playing on a field. And if you stand at the same level and watch them play, you just see one angle of it. But supposing if you were to go...
People are saying that your voice is not coming very clear. So
okay.
Just see if you can do any adjustment before we go further and go even more deeper.
Just give me 1 second. The only thing...
quite clear in between, it goes tap, tap. That's all.
Okay, give me 1 moment.
Take your time.
Okay, is this better? Is my voice better here?
Yes. Is the voice better now, guys?
Yes. Yes. Definitely.
Okay,
definitely.
Okay, blame it on the headsets. Okay, lovely. So where I was at is, if you see a group of children playing in the field and you decide to go maybe 2-3 stories higher, if there's a building around and you just climb up maybe 3-4 stories, you get to see a view which is a top-down view, but you can see the whole field in its entirety. And that's what this work is about. It's about us trying to see from where things begin, so we are able to kind of touch that part of us. And what I'm talking about, the whole field is within us. We are a part of the field. The field is us. And so there is a oneness and there is a separation as well. So what we do is we bring in a separation where it is needed, and we gather things into our heart where it is needed. So that's constellations in brief. And the way I'm practicing the work is with on the lines of, as taught by Bert Hellinger. He's kind of seen as the father of family constellations. But yes, there are still many other schools of family constellations, and I am kind of practicing more on lines of Bert Hellinger's original scientia, the way they call it now, on family constellations. Okay, okay. And now I'll give you a bit of a session overview. So there will be a little bit of speaking about the topic that we are with today, and then I'll kind of bring in an exercise or a movement, and then maybe we'll have a little chat about how that exercise was, and then we'll go on to the next topic, next pointer to this topic. I'm trying to include about 3 or 4 pointers here, and we'll just see how the times goes and how we kind of feel about it. Hopefully we should be able to integrate everything in terms of what I've planned out. Okay. Now, why the topic relationship with the significant other? As Anu was briefly mentioning the challenges of lockdown, I think this is a time where so many of us are just thrown together with our families. We are all locked in with our families. Yes, it's also true that absence makes the heart fonder. So when we don't have the option of stepping out the way we would do earlier, or maybe when we stepped out to work, or our partner or the husbands or the wives, they stepped out to work, we did have the breather between us. And with that absent, we are just thrown together. And this is where so much of challenges and the differences and everything that was buried inside tends to come out together. I think that's why, for me, this topic was important. And as I talk about the relationship with the significant other, I cannot but bring in our own parents. Because the fact is, when we have a partner in our life, we are assuming we've kind of reached maybe a kind of a maturity there. And when we meet a partner, even 16, 18, 20, whatever years onwards that we meet our significant partner or we have a relationship in our lives, we have gone through a lot of major stages of our life. And here, whatever that has been sowed into our system is now kind of being harvested. And so the seeds of our relationship are actually begin with our parents. That is where the real seed lies. Now, a lot of times when people come in with relationship issues and, after an initial diagnosis, I feel that, I would like to work with the parental aspect. And most people are like, no, it's done and over with. Why do we need to work through with it? But yet, in most of the challenges that we face with the relationships, it starts with the parents. And yes, if somebody is enjoying a happy relationship, a happy, blissful marital life, that is also a lot of times the thanks to the parents. Because as they see, happy relationships are also a part of our genetics at times. Happily married, that's something you need to give a lot of thanks to the parents. And why here, I would just like to take a few examples here about how exactly relationship with our parents are brought in between our parents, between us and the partner. And by the word partner, I'm not just meaning a husband. It can be a boyfriend. It can be a significant relationship that we have had in our lives. And yes, at times for some people, they're searching for that all elusive relationship and there's been nobody in their lives. I'm including all of this. Even the seeking for a relationship is also something like a relationship itself. It has its own particular dynamics. And so here I'll just kind of take a few examples here. I was once working with a lady who said that her challenge was that most of the times she had been through about 2 to 3 relationships which was significant for her, and each of them her partner abruptly left her. Now, as we delved a little deeper into it, it turned out that she was a single child of her parents, and
when I asked her, how are you with your mother? She was very happy and she said, oh, we're very good together and she's the closest person to me. And when I asked her, how are you with your father? With a lot of pride, she said, I have nothing to do with him. And that kind of spoke to me. And then she goes on to say that her father had left her mother when he was with another woman and he abruptly walked out on her. Now, what the client was doing is, in a way, she's very loyal to her mother and she's also loyal to her father as well. She's so close to her mother that she doesn't have a space for a man in her life. She's standing in the place of a mother's partner. So when I asked her, do you share everything with your mother? She says, yes, we go out for movies, we go out for dates, we're there for each other all the time. So, as she spoke, it was very obvious she's so close to the mother that there is no space for a man in her life. And she's simply recreating the pattern that her parents had, which is her father abruptly leaving her mother for another woman. And here, she's also being loyal to the father because she's trying to push him out of the family system. She's trying to pretend as if he doesn't matter to her. But the fact is that we need to have our family systems and especially our parents complete with us. And subconsciously, we do so much of things which are actually antagonistic to us. And we do all kinds of things for us to be reminded of the father here, in case of this girl. And so she finds a partner who, just like her father, abruptly leaves her. So in a way, she's being loyal to her father and she's being loyal to the mother as well. So yes, children need both the parents equally. Another point that I mentioned here is that sometimes we are so close to either the father or the mother that there is no space for somebody to come into our lives. Or there are so many cases where I worked with people wherein things are completely amiss between the client and the spouse. And again, immediately it's very clear that this person has never really left their family of origin. By family of origin, I mean the family that you are born into. And let's say, for example, when you are with a partner, you have a husband, you have a boyfriend, you're kind of creating a system by yourself here. So if you're just too close with your parents all the time, it's like you're on two different planes. You need to leave the space to make a movement to the man or to the woman. And I've heard of bizarre cases where every weekend, the person would just go back to the family of origin, or maybe in India, especially when we live in joint families, the man is just so close to the father and mother that at the end of the day, he wants to go have a chat with his father, have a chat with his mother. And then after he's done completely is when he retires to go back to his wife. This sounds like he's very much still being a child to his parents. Again, a word of caution here. This doesn't mean that you ignore your parents. We have our responsibilities, our duties, and our love towards the parents. But it just means that when we grow up, we attain maturity, means we are able to now cope up with things on our own with our partner. And if we turn as a child towards the partner, what we are seeking something to complete. We are expecting our parents in the partner. And this kind of a relationship is unbalanced. And this is not going to succeed here. And so, in order for us to complete a relationship with a man or a woman and have a fulfilling relationship, it means we grow up. We agree to do things, sometimes make mistakes, sometimes be guilty in a certain sense. And by the word guilty, I mean, as for most daughters especially, when we are grown up, we learn a lot of things from our mothers. And then when the girl gets married and she goes to the in-laws, she goes to the husband, she's with the husband, she still wants to do things as were done in her own family here. Now, in this case, as she continues to do things in her own, as what is taught to her, she's completely ignoring the aspect which comes from the other's family as well. Now here, it means in a way, she lets go of what she has learned. She learns to be flexible. And similarly, a man needs to learn to be flexible here. The mother is not always right. And so he does something and she does something which is very contrary to what she's learned from the way she has and they have been brought up individually. And they let go of that and they adapt and become flexible to what the other's value system is at the same time. And so a lot of times the complications happen over here. And there are plenty of examples where we see maybe a girl is just so close, and it's sometimes it's call it fate or call it anything. It's amazing to hear or work with people again who are, I've worked with some people who are 70 plus. And yes, here again, you can just see how close she was. She was very close to her father. Her father was her ideal. He did everything to the best possible. And when she gets married to a man with whom she cannot really show any amount of respect. She found him that he doesn't work, he doesn't have his own livelihood, he has habits which she doesn't like, and she stays very loyal to her father. And when she does this, she's not really giving much of a chance to her husband. And as it turns out, it's like, you know, especially people, when we understand when we are in school, if the teacher constantly keeps telling you you're up to no good, you're no good, it's like something that becomes a fate for the child. And here I don't mean to say that there is nothing from the husband's side. It takes two to tango always. But from the woman's side, she's too close to her father to give a chance to another man. And similarly, typically there are times when a man is too close to the mother. And this again has its own complications. So whenever we're interacting with men or women or spouses or partners here, there is so much of our parents which is getting projected onto them. And we are not really giving a fair enough chance to the parents as they specifically are. And so what is required here, the first thing, as I said, is when we have a relationship, it presumes that we have a certain amount of maturity. And for this maturity to flow, it's not just only life's experiences. We need to first be able to take what is essential from our own parents. There are times when we are in so much judgment of our parents. The amount which we judge our parents is exactly the same, you know, sometimes in the same proportion that we end up judging the whole world and our partners too. And you know, sometimes it's just also gets passed on to the bosses, to the friends, to people in authority. And so what is happening here is we are looking at our parents with judgment. We are sometimes we see our parents are not good enough, or they didn't give us enough, or my mother was not there for me when I was growing up, or maybe a son says the father was always away when I was growing up, or you know, he was always very angry. There is so much of distance that we have between our parents here. But what is essential is they gave us what is needed, which is our life. And so maybe this is a place where we can do a small exercise or a movement, because typically I don't like to talk too much. I like to get into a constellation and I like to go through with a movement. So maybe it's a great idea here to just get into a movement here. I would suggest that, you know, because we are on a call here, go in as deep as you can. It's only as much as you are comfortable here. It's not a very intense movement in a sense. It has a certain amount of lightness. Don't get into too much in-depth aspect of anything here, and I'll keep guiding you through here. So maybe this is a great place for you to just sit relaxed, make sure that you have a good backrest here. Take a deep breath, and on the exhale, whenever you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes and take a moment of pause there. And breathe in and breathe out. And this is a good idea sometimes to breathe out through the mouth. Inhale through the nose and exhale out through the mouth. Inhale through the nose and exhale out through the mouth. And now, see yourself as you are today. And with your eyes closed, picture your parents standing in front of you. And then you can stand at a very small distance away from them in such a way that you can see them very clearly. But just one word here. As you see your parents standing in front of you, imagine your parents are double your height. So if you're 5 feet, your parents are 10 feet. And behind your parents are their parents. Your father's parents stand behind him. Your mother's parents stand behind her. And they are double the height of your parents. They're way taller than your parents. And behind your grandparents stand their parents. And so now you're creating a pyramid here. And each successive generation is double the height of the earlier generation. And then, for a moment, you can let your eyes stretch as far as you wish to. And you can have your great-grandparents' parents standing behind and go as far back as you wish to here. And just take a moment there. Take a moment there. And just sense this tower of strength that is standing in front of you. And as you stand in front of them, feel how small you are in front of them and how big they are. And just visualize or imagine that your heart has a shutter there. And open up that shutter. Open up your heart and see them from the eyes of your heart. And start taking them in. And just start taking them in. No judgment, no perspective on them. Just take them in as they are, exactly as they are. This could mean that maybe just today you've had a fight with your mother, or you've not spoken to your father in days. It doesn't matter. Taking him in as he is. With all their strengths, with all their imperfections. Please remember, human life is not about perfection. It doesn't matter if they are healed or they are unhealed, exactly as they are. And now, beyond all your ancestors, see the beginning of life, an essential life force energy. If you wish, you can give a face to it, or you can just see this like this big, vast light. And it's much taller than any of your ancestors. It goes all the way up to the sky and beyond. And it's like this wall which is behind all your ancestors. And as you have opened up your heart and created a window at the heart, just see all your ancestors also creating that window at their heart, at their hearts. And this essential life force energy is now being passed to you through all these generations, from one ancestor to the following generation, to the following generation. And maybe you can just see it as a beam of light, which is getting passed through completely straight, sharp. Nowhere is it dim. It just keeps getting passed on from one ancestor to the other. It's just being handed over to the next one. And feel that beam of light piercing you through your heart and giving you the energy that you need. And just feel that life force energy powering you, filling up all the voids inside you. And you will know exactly and what part of the body you need that life force energy. Take it all in. Keep receiving this life force energy. And if you wish, you can open your mouth and inhale and exhale out through your mouth a few times. And just keep taking it in. Take in a good, clear 5 to 7 breaths here. And as this life force touches you, through your mind's eye, through your heart's eye, you can see none of the ancestors have tried. Is it possible for them to just give you half of the life force energy? They just pass it on wholly and completely to you. They are not adding anything of theirs into it. They are just passing it on to you. And just take that all in. And you can take in this image and keep it into your heart. And let it keep working for you. Because once pathways like these are opened, we do not shut them down. You can always stay in the place of receiving from your father and your mother and all your ancestors here. And from that place, look at them and tell them, I am small in front of you. You are way bigger than me. And from this place, look at all of them and just wonder for a moment, is it possible for you to help them in any way? To do anything for them here? They are far larger than you and me. And this is like a cascade which is standing in front of you. And now, just take all of them and gather them into your heart. Put them in your heart. And you can shut that window to your heart. So now they are sealed within you. And maybe it's a great idea to keep your hands on your chest, on your heart, and take in a few deep breaths there. And feel yourself receiving all the essential that you need to from your parents and your ancestors. And feel yourself growing in stature. Our ancestors have had much more difficult lives than we have. A lot of them had to battle with something which is really actually about their survival. And so this is a wealth of intelligence which is now running through your own genes, through your body, through your blood. And you don't need to recreate their experiences. Even if you see 3 generations of your ancestors standing in front of you, which is still so many couples, and there is so much of a richness of couple relationships which you have already received into you. Each generation is a step ahead, is a further refinement to the earlier. And so you take in all their experiences. And with that, gently, whenever you wish to, you can open your eyes. And take a moment there. And this is a place I would just like to maybe hear from one of you, maybe a couple of people. How was this experience? Maybe some of those people who have already participated, I can see Karuna there, who have already participated in workshops with me, must have already gone through this process. But I personally enjoy going through this again and again, because each time something more opens up, you receive something more, or maybe you just kind of just stay with something that you know. It doesn't matter.
So if you want to share, just
Yes.
put your hands up on the Zoom and I will unmute you. So it would be nice if you can share your experiences. So be brave, put your hand up and share.
Okay, we'll wait for a few moments here, or otherwise we will proceed ahead.
Hi.
It would be nice. Yes.
I had raised my hand. I was just hoping that.
Yes.
I do.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So hi. What I strangely saw is that from my dad's side,
Mm-hmm.
my ancestor ka jo, the line that was there was really short. Like I think it just went and it turned. And
Okay.
it formed the number 6. But from my
Okay.
mom's side, I felt like the line was so long, like I actually saw the Great Wall of China. It was maybe metaphorically that long.
Okay.
And that is something that didn't make sense for me, because if you could explain that to me, why was it that from my dad's side I could just see like just not more than say about 20-25 couples.
Mm-hmm.
My mom's side, it was such a long queue up kind of a thing.
Okay. Are you closer to your father's side of the family or the mother's?
Well, my father does not have much of a family, because he was born in a Christian family out of wedlock, and he was raised in an orphanage, so he never really had a father, because his father was of another community, my grandmother was of another community. When it comes to my mother, of course, like she had her parents and grandparents, and
Okay.
yeah.
Great. Great. So this just points to one thing. So one thing I would say here, that just because you don't see your father's side of the family ancestors going out far into infinity, it doesn't mean that they are not there.
Okay.
It's just not possible that they don't exist. They are very
Okay.
much there. But yet, for you, maybe as a path ahead, it's good to look in that direction.
Okay.
And it's for whatever you've shared about what you know about your father's side of the family here. So that's a direction you need to look into, and you need to also see them. You need to give them a place in your heart. You need to start making your connections with them, because they are very much there.
Okay.
And yes, I mean, it's quite possible everyone has an own different experience here, but yes,
Yeah, yeah, correct.
great to
I
hear that.
mean, we as growing up or anything, we've never felt any animosity towards, whatever we've heard, nor as her father ever expressed that much in front of us.
Lovely,
Not that he's not felt it, he's probably not expressed.
lovely.
So,
But
like
okay,
forgiving is also for us. It's like, what do we forgive? Or what do
uh,
we talk about? There is
and
nothing there.
over here, uh, it doesn't, whether it is out of a marriage or out of a wedlock, it doesn't matter, because ancestors are still there. It's not about
Okay.
what marriage here.
Okay.
It's
So
about your
how
origins here.
so when you say acknowledge them, you just say ki, oh, I know that you have definitely been there. So
I would say
that's about
just
it.
see them, not even acknowledge
Okay.
them. Just
Okay.
see them. See, everything has its own step here. So
Okay.
just walk that one step of just being able to see ahead. Just look in that direction. That's enough
Okay.
as a beginning,
Okay.
is what I would
Okay.
say.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. We have
Okay.
next person, Dr. Manorama. Yes, please share.
Hello
Yeah,
there.
um, it's just a sharing. Then
Uh-huh.
Revati started telling that you should see the parents and their parents and all the generations.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, it was very much overwhelming for me, and I started crying.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And it was a very pleasant and positive experience for me, and I could do whatever you were saying. And at the end, I mean, I felt very, very happy for that. So
Wow.
thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. I think that's great. Just keep that into your heart.
Okay, thank you.
I'm quite particular if there is a very beautiful experience. I prefer not to go too much in depth, because there is something that has already moved you. And when we start putting things into words, we start just kind of giving it an amount of finality. And here it feels that the grace is still flowing through to you. So keep receiving it, is what I would say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have Amita who wants to speak. Amita, please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes.
Ma'am, I just, when we were doing the exercise, I could
Mhm.
see my father still fifth generation, and
Okay.
I can see that the life force is coming in
Mm-hmm.
form of light to my heart. But
Mm-hmm.
when I looked at my mother's side,
Mm-hmm.
that it was like I have done it, means forcefully to receive light from that end. I could see it a little darker, and it
Okay.
was difficult to receive life force from that side.
Okay, okay. Thank you for that sharing. So these are all very gentle pointers towards the direction in which you need to put your attention to or work towards. So in your case, Amita, you need to look towards what is happening between you and the mother's side of the family. This is something you can start exploring. And I would say that, wherever your attention goes through, healing follows in that direction. And if you have your father's side of the family, the connection that you have, that's a grace here. And now that you start looking, it doesn't mean that they are not available for you, but you need to start looking in that direction. So maybe in later times, or maybe as things proceed ahead, you can look at some specific work that you can do here in this direction, is what I would recommend you.
Okay, thank
And
you.
it doesn't matter which sort of work you do, it's completely up to you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Anu, maybe should we, if
Wonderful.
there is somebody,
Yes.
just take one
I think there
and
is
move on.
nobody's there right now.
Great, great.
So
That's
just go
perfect.
ahead. Let's go ahead.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Okay, so what was this objective of this exercise here? The objective here was that first we open up our receiving with our own parents and our own family. And then as that overflows in us, then we feel complete and ready to move towards a partner. And when that love between you and the partner is overflowing, is when you have a child and a baby is born in the family. So this is how the cascade keeps proceeding ahead. And yet, when we stand, there are times when we try to stand larger than our parents. It's like saying that, our hands should be this way to receive life from our parents. And sometimes there are such circumstances which push us to becoming greater than the parents. It's like you become the parents' parents. There are so many instances where when we talk about, when we hear that a parent passes away very early in life, and then maybe the eldest or one of the children takes in a place which is next to the mother or next to the father, almost as their equal. Or sometimes we find ourselves being that we know greater than our parents. Today we are in this internet time where there is so much of information available to us. And I certainly feel guilty a lot of times here that, I kind of start thinking that I know a little bit better than my mother here, or I may have known a little better than my father there. But here, what I'm talking about is not about knowing knowledge or specific skills. It is about the essential essence of life. The father stands for something, the mother stands for something. The father stands for everything to do with the outside world. The mother stands for everything to do with our own inner world, cultivating relationships, keeping communications, holding the family together. And the father stands for our groundedness, our personal boundaries, and interacting with the outside world here. And so, before we turn to our partner, it's great to have our foundation secure with our mother and our father. And that is what this exercise was really pointing towards here. And it's only when we have taken them in our heart, we can turn towards the partner and then look at him or her from the eyes of an equal. Our partners are not greater than us and they are not less than us. They are our equal. It's only the parents who are bigger. It's only the parents who give us, and as children, we receive from them. And then when we grow up, maybe there comes a time when we need to take care of them. And we can't keep expecting the same kind of help or what we received from them as children. We can't keep expecting the same thing from them as we have grown older. And there are some times, even as grown-ups, we expect our mothers and fathers to keep giving us. And here we are then tiring out our parents. And so this is what it was about. As a grown-up, I take whatever you have given me in a sense, and now I am good to carry on with my life. I am mature, I am responsible, and I am willing to take risks, and I am willing to make mistakes, and I am willing to learn there. And it's with these eyes that we look at our partner. If we look at the eyes of someone who's greater than the partner, what exactly happens over here is we do not respect them. If a woman does not respect the man, he will end up doing things which are not worthy of respect. And it's definitely the other way around for a woman too. If a man does not respect his wife enough, the relationship will be in such a way that she will prove herself that she's not worthy of the respect. These are specific cases where we see, a lot, there is men who end up taking up alcohol, or of course there are other factors here involved as well, or out of job. The example that I was taking of the woman who was very old, she's very close to her father, and as time went by, she realized her husband is not earning anything at all. All the while she kept thinking that she's better educated than him, she's better than him, she knows better. And what does the man go on to do? He proves that he's not worthy of her respect at all. So she's looking at him from higher eyes. And then there are cases where women or men are very needy. A child who still continues to wanting from the parents, give me more, give me this, give me support, even as a grown-up, is more likely to turn towards the partner with the same needy eyes again. And what the person expected their parents to fulfill or give them, they now expect the husband or the wife or the partner to give them exactly the same thing. Now, this is very burdensome for the partner. So there is a distinction here, as I said. One, we are equal with our partners. We are not higher than them. We are not lower than them. And this is a good solid foundation between a man and a woman, to stay equal. And to stay equal also means that you will take your own decisions here. of whether to stay or not to stay in the relationship. Mind you, I'm not propagating that you just, if it doesn't work, you get up and you leave. No. Obviously, you give it the amount of respect it requires there. But if things don't work, and if somebody feels that their lesson is over, their learning is over, it is safe to move on. That is looking at somebody with the eyes of equal, not expecting the other person to change, because your own progress, your own change lies in your own hand. You cannot change the other person. You can adapt yourself. And if you find that it's not working for you, you're free to take a call here. This is looking at the person as an equal. It also means respecting the other person for exactly how he or she is, respecting their own value systems, the family that they come in from. You're not superior and they are not better than you either. So this is a level playing ground that you need to look at the other with. This is an essence of the relationship here between a man and a woman. Here, what are most of the likely places where you find yourself looking at the man in a higher place, or or a partner from a higher place or from a lower place? The essential here is sometimes, like I mentioned, if a girl is too close to the father or a girl is too close to the mother, if you saw the hierarchy with which you were standing, you are at a certain height, your parents are higher than you, their parents are higher than them. And if you stand too close to your parents, next to the father, next to the mother, this means that you have elevated yourself and you're standing on a higher ground here. For those of you who have worked in a corporate, or from whatever you're observing of how you observe things, I would generally notice one thing. If someone got a promotion or a designation which was far, which was far earlier than that times, people had to kind of show a certain kind of aura that they really deserve it, and it came with a kind of a harshness. It didn't come from a lot of inner knowing. It was like an outer shell, and they were just pushing it down. And this is exactly how a partner behaves when they are standing, when you're too close to the parents and you look at the man and woman, you look down upon them. It's like, I know it all. And then it's very likely you can either end up mothering the person or fathering the person, or otherwise you can be very condescending towards them. And I think, as it doesn't take much to understand, such kind of relationship is not going to succeed here. And similarly, the case is, if you're all the time needy, oh, he needs to get the money home, the man expects the woman to take care of everything, just like the mother takes care of him. And sometimes the sentence does come up, I'm not the mother here, or I'm not the father here, because it is a big burden to be somebody else's parent. For those who are parents, you can just do a check-in with yourself. If you take care of your child, you're never tired. I mean, not literally, honestly, not literally. It can be tiring at times, but it's something that what to do there. I mean, just as Anu started the call, there was a medical emergency in our house, and I was looking after my niece and my nephew, and they are my same family here, but yet every time I'm a little wondering. I wonder whether I should do something or I shouldn't do something. Taking a decision is a little bit heavier for me. It's not that light, because I am not the parent there. And just imagine if your neighbor were to come and drop their children at your place to look after them, how burdensome it would feel for you after a certain point of time. This is exactly how the partner feels if you stand needy in front of your partner as a child. It means taking the decisions, taking the right amount of responsibility. See, there is a balance here, and the balance needs to be there. It cannot be that, one person takes all, it is quite possible that the man brings home the money and the woman looks after the house. There is a balance there. And it can be each partnership, each relationship has a very different kind of a balance. And it's okay. That balance is something which is more of an inherent in your heart balance. You know in your heart whether the balance is there, it's not there. And what happens if the balance is not there? This is a place sometimes when the partner, when there is one person who just receives and the other person just gives. When I'm talking about the balance, the word here is a balance between giving and taking. It's like you give sometimes and you receive, you give. This goes on. This is not like a transaction that, one day, at the end of the day, you're going to do the debit and the credit and it has to be equal. No. There are some days where you will give more to the partner and there are some days you will receive more. It happens at times that, at the beginning of the career, the woman steps in more and she works with him and she puts in a lot of work and she really exerts herself. And then when he has a great position, she says, I'm not going to work there. And the man wonders, she was so talented, why is she not doing it? Because there is a kind of balance that's coming back. And let me take an example here, which is there has been I've noticed peculiarly that especially when let's say a man and a couple, and the man joins a college, a university, or an MBA institution, and the woman starts working to pay for his fees. Now what is happening is she's doing something for him which is a little above and beyond. And what happens at the end of 2 years is he comes back home and he tells her, I found another woman on the campus. So goodbye to you. What had happened here in this case is there was typically, it sounds very nice that, the one who receives more would like it a lot. But at their inherent level, their soul cannot take so much of receiving. For any relationship, it needs to come into balance. And the one who receives more is generally the one who steps out of the relationship. Or there are cases where, the woman has been at home and the man says, you don't do anything. You're going to be my queen. I will look after you. I will do everything for you. And you don't even need to do too much of housework. Literally nothing. She doesn't have a chance to do too much in the house at all. After some point of time, as days go by, either the woman has to find a way of giving back to the family in a different way, or if she doesn't have a chance to give, she's probably going to be the one who leaves the relationship. The conscious reason will be something else. The man is abusive, or something happened which I do not like. The conscious reason would be something else. But at a far deep unconscious level, it's too much to receive. And the soul doesn't agree with it. And this is a way of restoring balance. Every family system tries to restore a balance in whatever way it's possible. So here's a thought here. All of us here everybody has a certain inherent feeling of whether I'm able to contribute enough or I'm not able to contribute enough. It's like so many examples of people who work on the software industry, in the software industry, when there's a typical word which is used, which is they're put on the bench. Or honestly, I've been in human resources for over 15, 16 years of my life. Now, if there was a person that was, targeted, that, we do not wish to continue his or her services any further with the company. And we don't want to, we don't want to dirty our hands by handing out a firing letter. What is the usual thing which is done? You withdraw most of the work assignments away from the person. And the person just sits there in the company, receiving a paycheck at the end of the day and is not allowed to contribute. This might sound for a person that, hey, this is a great situation. I don't have to do anything and I receive money at the end of the day. But believe me, it doesn't even take 2 to 3 months for anybody who's put on the bench to move on from the company, because their soul does not agree to it. We all wish to contribute, and it is our right to contribute. And this is what makes us feel worthwhile here. Giving and receiving here in a relationship is not a transaction. It's something that happens from the heart. And the heart here knows the intrinsic balance. So this is one of the essentials of a relationship, to keep it in balance. And what happens if you realize that, hey, I have not been doing things out of balance, or I've been giving too much, or I have been receiving too much. And so this is a place where, it's also a great way of doing it is to show your appreciation. I don't have an example here which is to do in terms of a relationship, but a great, a story out of a mythology or out of our textures is the story of Krishna and Sudama. This is the relationship of two friends, but it's great to talk about this. Now, Krishna is a king, and we all know the story in which, how he's able to give so much to his friend, who all these years, he feels it. And one day when they are all grown up and Krishna is the king there, Sudama comes visiting him. And what does he bring for him? He gets his poha, puffed rice. And when Krishna receives the puffed rice, he receives it in a way as if it's the best thing in the whole world that he has received. And that kind of an appreciation is also something that you give someone. You take the person for who he or she is, and you express your heartfelt appreciation. You express it through certain gestures. This is another way of bringing in balance in the relationship. So that's something that's one of the keys that, it's great to kind of focus on over here. Okay, so I think it's a great idea to maybe just do a very small exercise here again, because it's great to interspace. I mean, at least I love it when,
I think it's a perfect idea.
Yeah?
Let's go ahead.
Okay, come on. Okay, so, okay, we'll continue from the last one where we left. Okay, we'll keep the same thread of the same exercise that we had done a few minutes back. Take in a few deep breaths here. And maybe just kind of forget about all the chatting that we've had, or, what I've been speaking, because it's good to kind of clear out your mind and your heart before you get into this. Take a few deep breaths, close your eyes. And see this pyramid in front of you. Your parents, their parents, their parents, the source of light, the ball of light, as to however way that you saw it. And just taking a brief moment to soak into it. And as you soak that in, I want you to turn around from facing your parents and their ancestors and look in front of you. And right there in front of you is your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your significant partner. Or for those who don't have anybody as of now, you can just see the image of the, a silhouette of the man or the woman. And as you see them, right behind them is a similar pyramid which is standing behind you. His or her parents, his or her grandparents, and their parents and their parents, and the big wall of life force energy flowing through their hearts, reaching your partner. And now you look at your partner. You have your ancestors, your family right behind you. He or she has his behind her, him or her. And now, both of you are equals. And if you sense any kind of imbalance right now, if you felt so far in your relationship, picture yourself standing like in the weighing scales and wait for it to come to a level of balance. And as he or she stands in front of you, look at him or her, and behind him, see his or her parents. And look at the parents and tell them, rather look at the mother first and tell her, I like you the way you are, exactly as you are. And for the women who, just in case, who are looking at their mother-in-laws, this may be difficult. In case it is, just go to the extent you can. You can thank him, the mother, for giving birth to this person who is your partner. If she would have been different, your partner would have been a different person. He or she would not have been the person you are with. And similarly, you look at the father and tell him, I like you and I respect you the way you are, exactly as you are. Because if you would have been any different, my partner would not have been this person. And now, from your place, you can give a deep bow to your partner's ancestors. Because he comes from them, she comes from them. If you deny or dislike his parents or his side of the family, you are not honoring him or her for who he or she is. You're expecting them to be different. And it's like telling them, I am better than you are. So take this moment to give a deep vote of gratitude to your partner's side of the family. Now, whenever you feel ready, the next step for you to do is take a step forward. Or I would rather have you just stay in your place right now and even give this a place in your heart and leave this as it is. Take your time there, and whenever you wish, you can gently open your eyes. Take a moment, find your orientation, and I'll just explain a little later as to why I stopped you from going ahead with the movement. The words that I used here, I like you as you are, exactly as you are. These are exact words that Bert Hellinger has used in a demonstration, or rather with a movement between a couple. This is what restores when the man or when your partner knows that my family is being respected, he can be at peace. You're not denying the person for who they are really, actually. Because we are, at the end of the day, we are what our ancestors are. Yes, we have to choose to live our own fate, but we have our ancestors running in our blood. And when you dislike any of them, it's like saying that I don't like your mother there. So I just like half of you there. I like your father, so I'll only like that aspect of you, but I dislike this other aspect of you. This is not reaching a level of wholesomeness. This is actually pointing to other entanglements a little later. So what you actually are doing now, your family, his family, your partner's family, when you come together as a man and woman, you are not, if you bring your family, it's yes, you are your ancestors, but both of you step forward and you now create a new family system of your own. In this family system, ideally, you respect each other's family and their values here, but you create your own here. And here in this family system, this actually, in practical terms, it means that for a woman, the needs of her man and her children and her current family takes precedence over the family of origin. And similarly for the man, it's literally like saying, if you're staying in one house, maybe in a joint family, and for a man, if from one side, if the woman, his wife calls out to him, and from the other room, the mother calls out to him, whose call does he answer first? He needs to go to his wife. I'm not talking about any kind of an emergency or something like that, but just in general terms, both of them need him. He needs to go to his woman first, because now she is the most important person in his life. And for the woman, the man is now the most important person in his life, in her life. If you are contradicting this kind of an order, and if you decide to go to the mother or to the father in this case, this again means that the energy of your energy is not with your current family, it's with the family of origin. And when the energy is with the family of origin, this family here is going to be shaky here. So what does the partner do? There are many things that can happen here. The partner can go out, step out of the marriage. The partner can find, somebody else to be with, or starts becoming a workaholic. The attention is not here. And then the child of the family takes up something to bring the parents together. So this is all leading to another entanglement here. So, yes. So the next one here is that with the parent, with your partner, the partner now takes precedence here. And then you might want to say that, at times that, there are a lot of issues that come from the partner, things don't go well. And yet we say that every partner is a perfect partner for you. I will go back to where I began this session with. The seeds of your relationship are still with your parents. And so, the example that I took earlier, generally a mother's, a girl who's too close to her father, she demonstrates a certain behavior and she generally ends up with a man who's a mother's son. And in that way, both of them are perfect partners. Another example that, I would like to take a more practical example. Like in my family, my great-grandfather had 3 wives, not together, but one by one. Each of his wife passed away. And he, at the end, he was a single man when he passed away. Now, what was happening here in his case? He had a story of deep loss, of being alone. And in a way, he also was not feeling completely alive within. And so, he looks for a partner, and his first wife, is also a perfect partner to him, because she carries the death with him in her heart. She carries that lesser longevity. And in that sense, she's a perfect partner to him. It's like their stories matched completely. And that was the case with each successive wife of his. Or this is how you find people who give you the exact kind of lesson you need to learn in your life. There are times, again, how the stories match. Maybe a woman, when she's growing up, she just doesn't want to live in her family of origin. She doesn't like her parents. She says, I don't have a place in this family. And then to get out of the family, She gets married. She gets married very quickly. And then what does she move into? She moves generally into an abusive relationship, a relationship which is not comfortable for her, where she's not at peace at all. This is again how their stories are matching here. She wants to run away, and he gives her an experience which is much worse than she had ever imagined here. So, this is how it always takes two to tango. And whenever we talk about anything to do with partners, we first look at our own family of origin. What is the seed from our family that is getting reflected back to us? Because we cannot change the other there. I mean, this is particularly for people who are therapists, we will understand this, that most of the times we get people who want to change their partners. Please do something so that he changes. Please do something so that she changes. And what we look at is how is it that the seed has been created? What was sowed in there that has grown up here? So a man and woman are like two trees. Their roots are different. It's just like the pyramid that you saw in front of you, that was your support. And the partner has their own support. So those are the roots. And where the partners meet are with the branches. So the strength comes from our family of origin. And we meet together, and then we enjoy a life together. But if somebody starts saying that my partner is my strength, and I'm going to take strength from the same roots as his strength, this is not going to work. It's more like a parasitic relationship. And what happens generally in a parasitic relationship is the trunk of the tree around which the parasite is dies off. This is also one place that points to a lot of premature death of partners here. It's too much sometimes. So these are certain intricacies that we need to bear in mind. Of course, this topic is actually very, very vast here. So maybe we'll just take a very brief pause here, and I'll check again with you if there are any questions. And then we can proceed ahead.
So raise your hands if you have any questions. I have a question actually, Revati, for you.
Please, go ahead.
So somebody like me who was sent off to my nanny's house when she was just 6.5.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And my mom was very, very attached to her mom and dad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In fact, she didn't have mother-in-law and father-in-law.
Mm-hmm.
They both were not there. So my father was an orphan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, I was left with her parents. So they became my second parents.
Mm-hmm.
My mommy who was there became my third parent.
Mm-hmm.
And her younger sister, who is 7 years older than me, became my fourth parent. These are all different people who are my mothers. And I, till today, value them deeply from the bottom of my heart. So which is my family of origin?
Thank you for asking this question, Anu, because this just helps to clarify a few things here. Yet your family of origin in this case are your own biological parents here, in this particular case specifically. So while you look at your nanny and your other two caregivers who were like your mother, you in your heart can tell them, you have given me love. And I take that. And then you turn to your mother and you tell her, you are still the right one for me. Because you come from her. She is the one who has given you birth, and they are your nanny, your mommy, and your other relative are the ones who've given you love. They've helped to nourish you. But if you would not have been born, the birth still comes from the mother.
Got it.
So hence, you still keep your connection with her. I'm really glad you brought this up, because there is a certain thing that we notice sometimes in women where they look at the mothers as equals. Because there were a couple of other cases where I worked with, where no matter what, the girl refused to look at the mother with, as a daughter. And then I had to ask her, was she brought up by somebody else? And she answered in a positive. Here in this case, Anu, it's great that you were brought up by your nanny. So she still obviously is connected to her daughter. And for your soul, in a way, your mother has entrusted you to her mother, because she has brought her up. The one person that she can trust to do a good job of bringing up is her own mother. And that is how she gives it to. She gives her child to her own mother. And you can see that she's bringing you up on behalf of your mother. So still that lineage is being maintained here.
Mm-hmm.
In some cases, it is like, especially in the Indian joint family systems. So the mother gives birth to this child, and then she has another child. And then she says, oh, it's too much for me to take care of 2 children. So now the chachi and her mother-in-law start bringing up the child. And you can guess what they are really feeding into the child. They're kind of feeding into the child, your mother can't take care of you. And they start talking like, in the nasty way to her about her own mother. So
Yes.
now she's completely disputed. She wants to go close to the mother, but she's also being loyal to them. And such are the journeys which turn out to be quite challenging here.
Okay. Now, what's really interesting, when I was growing up, my mom looks very young. She still does. Okay, so I never thought that I wasn't her daughter, but it was always that people who would stand would say, "Ye tumhari behan hai." So that's one thing I really took care of when my daughter was growing up. If anybody even made a comment like that, I would say, "Ye meri beti hai," and I'm very proud to be her mother. But that didn't come from my mom. My mom always took pride in being younger, looking younger, and that in conscious level, I don't have. I'm very proud the way she looks, but I'm sure at a subconscious level, it's had an impact on me. Thank you.
Yes. And great that now that you bring up on the topic of mothers here, which is why the sentence, "Mother, you are the right one for me." A lot of times when we have a partner in our lives, the partner ends up reflecting the mother's incompletions. What we seek from our mother, we try, and when we don't receive it, we try to seek that, to complete that through our partners. So this is again our mother playing out through the partner here. Another point here, sometimes what happens is, if the father has had, let's say, an extramarital relationship, then in that case, this is generally a dynamic that I see. Increasingly, there are a lot of people who are single and who've never had a history of any partner in their lives. And when they come up, and then we explore this through a constellation, what the first thing that is noticeable over here is, the father has had a significant partner in his life prior to this marriage. And then she's left behind. And when she's left behind, in this case, typically the daughter does something to bring her back. It's like she is also now belongs to this family system. So she does something so that she still has a place there, and she stands closer to the other woman. And then, just as she is left behind, she either finds a partner who leaves her behind, or she has that space. If the other woman is living in emptiness or loneliness, she starts recreating her life in that sense. So the essence here is to come back into our own space and not live somebody else's fate here. And which is why these are again words which Hellinger has used again and again, and all through my teachers also, that I have seen them use these words very effectively. Mother, you are the right one for me. In fact, you are the only one for me. To this extent, even if there is a child who has had adoptive parents, we still connect them with their biological parents, because that is their source of strength here. And every time, yes?
I said, got it.
Yes. And every time there is a physical separation between the father and the mother, that separation still plays out in a later part of their lives. And these are things which, it's maybe it's just destiny, and we need to work our way through there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anu, for that question. So we'll just take a pause here, and I'll check if there are any other questions. And thank you, Anu, you've just inspired me to work with a different kind of a movement here.
Okay, one more question,
Yes.
Revati. Just like there are a lot of families and a lot of work that I'm doing right now where I see that the maids were bringing up the child. And the maid could be 30 years older than the mother. So obviously she is better equipped and all that. And the child starts having loyalty towards the maid. And there's a competition going on between the maid and the mom.
Yes.
So will that have impact then again on the child?
Yes, definitely. Because now the mother is not secure in her own relationship. She needs the maid. From the child's perspective, now it depends on who are we working with. If it's the child, for the child, the maid has still given something vital and essential to the child. And so I would take that, open their heart and take that maid in as well. Because she gives love, she gives bringing up on behalf of the mother. And yet, these are very exact cases where we need to work on the connection with the mother. Generally, in most cases, in most relationship issues, the first place to work with is the mother. And here it is great to work with the movement towards the mother.
Okay.
And it's, you see, what I've noticed is, there are sometimes people who come in and, there are much quicker movements. And then we always have some of those people with whom we work, the seekers, and it sometimes there is no end to it. Places where there is a competition with the mother, or somebody has undermined the mother's position, or the mother has felt insecure in her role as a mother and she kind of feels there's a competitor there, generally take a little longer to resolve. This has just been one of my experiences so far.
Okay.
So here in this case, for the child, again, connect with the maid and yet make that essential movement to the mother, because she is the right one for the child.
Perfect. So we have questions coming up.
Yes.
3 people are there. Let's
Yes.
unmute Doreen. Please go ahead.
Hi. Yes.
Doreen.
So, Revati,
Yeah.
we have an adopted child in the family, and my family has a history of adopting children.
Lovely.
So now with my niece who's adopted, if you're suggesting that if she needs to be connected back to her biological parents energetically, would it not also you know um, make it difficult for her to connect to her existing parents? Also because with I have also worked as as a aid to a few of my clients who are adopted, and I have always felt like the rejection that they feel when they know that they're adopted, no matter how much love and how much care they have received from their biological from their adopted parents, the minute they get to know that they're adopted, it just shakes their world, so it just makes them feel so rejected, and that is a rejection that they then go on to feel in their relationships also, and it becomes a trigger for them. So like I am personally very very hesitant to let my sister ever break the news to her daughter that she's adopted.
That's a tricky one that you are you talking about, but yet what happens is, deep at the soul, for the soul of that child already knows it. So what we are hinting at over here is that when there is an adoption in the family, you've taken in this child with love here. And what works before breaking in this news or with the child, a great movement here that I have worked with some people, and it has worked, is for the adoptive parents. See, in India, the adoption rules are different. We don't really have, there is no on the record work with the, unless it's an adoption in the same family. But if it is a legally, I mean, if it's if you take a child through an adoption agency, you really have no clue to who the parents are. And sometimes it's not even needed completely all the time to be connected to the biological parents physically as such. The movement here for the adoptive parents is to look at the biological parents and tell them thank you, because they have received a gift. because the biological parents gave up this child, they had this gift of joy of this child in their lives. And so
Okay.
the adoptive parents are essentially in service of the biological parents.
Okay.
It is their child that they bring up. And why
Got
this
it.
kind of a stance is important is, just check back with your experience here. A lot of times, even if a child has not been told that he or she is adopted, they still turn in anger towards the adoptive parents. And it's the same anger that they have of rejection towards that, their own parents have rejected them, and they kind of project this anger onto the adoptive parents. So in that sense, what the adoptive parents are doing is a completely an act of service. This child is not, it's not like it, the child doesn't belong to them. They are just completely being on service of being service to the child, and in their hearts they set this child free to go in search of their parents. It, in some countries it's physically possible to do this, and in some countries like India, if it is, like I said, if it's through an adoptive agency, it is not possible. Yet this is a movement that the adoptive parents can do in their heart, and at the right time with the right kind of words. It is important to let this child know the truth here,
Okay.
because otherwise it remains like a festering secret there, which opens up in a different way for the child here. It will still, the dynamics will still be the same.
Okay. The other thing I would like to understand is, like, I personally believe that, the tally sheet kind of a system, and we do like, even if the kids are adopted in a family, we feel like they have the same traits as any other family member, or a family member who's passed away. So for me it feels like it is, yes, we have adopted a child from someone else's family, but it is a child that was meant to come in my own family. It feels like, past life integrating with this, and it could be just another way of getting the child.
Completely. See, there is of course there is a reason why the child is there in the family. And so, which is why the words which I love to use is to thank the biological parents of this current lifetime as they stand, as they are. Thank you. Because if they would not have let go of this child would not have found this family. So so we turn towards them with gratitude. And
Okay.
the adoptive parents still in their hearts include the biological parents here.
Okay.
Because the child has two sets of parents. There is strength
Okay.
and love coming in from this side, and there is strength coming in, there is genetics, and there is still a huge amount of the flow of life for this child is still through the biological parents, and the child receives from both.
And according to your experience, what is usually a time where kids, receive this information the best? Because I mean, I believe that there are, stages, and, their understanding.
Okay, honestly, Doreen, see, that is something I would not exactly comment on this, because I
Okay.
don't see myself as a child psychologist, and I think
Okay.
there are people who are best suited for this, so it's better to
Okay.
consult. Sometimes a child inherently comes to know very early. I have known of cases where a child as old as 6 years has taken this very easily,
Okay.
and there are times when
Yeah.
it's been later and it
Got
still
it.
works. So it all
All right.
depends on how it is given out. And
Thank you so much. Thank you so
thank you
much.
for your
It was
question.
great.
Wonderful. Next question is by Sarita. Please unmute yourself. Thank you, Doreen, for that beautiful question. Thank you, Revati, for the answers.
Yeah, hello.
Yes.
I want to ask that I have three sisters, and they have one kid. So all the kids call me mummy. They're explaining to them that I am their masi. They call me mummy, and this is somewhat creating conflict between me and their fathers, because now the kids listen to me more than their family.
Right.
So
Understood. Sarita, may I just know a little bit more details? Are you the youngest sibling? I mean, these sisters are older than you?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you married? Do you have children?
No.
Okay. Yes, this can create conflict here, because what it might be just sounds very innocent here when the child calls you mummy, but from the for the children, for your nieces and nephews, they have their fathers. They have the father, they have the mother. What they really
Yeah.
need is an aunt, and nobody can substitute a great loving aunt here. And so this kind of creates, a little messy relationships here. And
Mm-hmm.
it's better to kind of keep it clean there. I mean, I'll give you my example. Even I have my nephew, when he was born, for a certain amount of time, he would love to call me I. I is mother in Marathi. And very earlier on, I had to stop that, because today, what I can give him is with a lot of freedom. I can love him like a parent, but I am not the parent here. So if there is a decision to be made by the child, for the child, the parents are best suited. That is the child's connection with the parents. He is their responsibility, not mine. And this is again, I mean, if I get into something which is not my responsibility, a different kind of an example that I would give is, uh, in my corporate life, I would see that, somebody is not performing all that well, but they think they're really doing fantastically well. And when I ask them, how do you feel you're faring in your job? And they're like, check to this, check to this, check to this, check to that. I'm doing 5-star on all these things. And then I would just look at these things, but these are not your responsibilities in the first place. You're doing something which is not your responsibility. And then what is your actual responsibility that you have been hired to do? You're not able to do that to the best. This is somewhat here. So that
Yeah.
Also from your perspective, Sarita, tomorrow if you would like to have a partner in your life, now, or you get married and you would like to have your children there, but now you already have children, what would happen in that case? So
Yeah, I fear that sometimes, that what will happen after I get married.
So what you can do right now, Sarita, is great. This is great that you have this realization. Take a step back right now where you are and see, you have 3 sisters, right? Or 2 sisters? This
3.
is the case with 3. And it's the case with all 3 of them?
Yeah.
Okay, then this also means there is a little bit more work that you need to look into this direction between you, your mother. What is happening between mothers and children in this family? Because sounds, as the youngest in the family, you're taking a huge responsibility. And this is something that you need to look into a little bit more in depth with. Like I said, the modality doesn't matter, but please work on this. That's the core.
Okay.
Because in a session like this, we can't go too much in depth here, because this will need full-fledged work. So, please seek a therapist there to work on this. At another level,
Okay.
very gently, what we can do here right now is picture all your 3 sisters with their husbands there. And I'm sure there's a little bit happening there as well. And you see that, you see each couple with their children with them. Okay? And
Yeah.
I would take a step back. And we put all 3 of them, these are 3 separate families. Put them in 3 separate bubbles right now. Okay?
Okay.
And start off with your eldest sister and tell her you're the right mother for her. And tell her father you're the right father for her or for him. I am an aunt here.
Yeah.
You have given birth to her. And I take a step back. I am available to support if the need arises. But I am not the parent here. And in your heart, a deep bow to the mother and the father. And step out. And this is a similar movement you can do with each of them. Yeah. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, and as I said,
Yeah.
that at your own convenience later on, do work on this.
Yeah, sure.
Kind of points to something else happening behind there.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Question. Thank you.
Thank
Let's
you.
go to the next person, Mr. Izar Khan.
Yes.
Yeah. Hi, Revati.
Hi, sir.
Revati, first of all, thanks a lot. You are really giving us a really, different view of looking at things.
Thank you.
When you said in the second exercise to turn around and look at your partner, and do you see them at the same level? Okay.
Yes.
So although I see that at the same level, but one statement of yours, which you said, if my mom is calling me and my wife is calling me very casually, not in an emergency, what would you do? And normally, in my normal scenario, I would go to my mom first. This is how we have been brought up, and this is what I feel is the importance, and my wife is very much okay with this. But now the problem here is what you said, that this can somehow create some kind of difference or something in my wife's head, and I'm more concerned about my daughter, who's just 5 years old, because whatever her mom says, she's not very much into that. Rather, whatever I do, she picks up very fast. Okay. So this behavior of mine, which I am very much okay, but you just gave me another perspective to it, and I'm more worried that she's also looking at the same things what we are doing. And when you said that, in this scenario I should be actually responding to my wife, so I would just like to understand that how do I change this, role swapping.
I think, Isad, that's a beautiful question, and that's a very great self-introspective question here. And sounds like, as you even bring in this question sometimes, I would say more than the answer, just the intention that you're bringing in here is very beautiful here. You see, what happens is, as I said, when you get married, you have now formed a current family, and this family is most important here. Now, another question here. Now, supposing if your daughter should need something and your mother should need something, who would you answer first?
My daughter.
Yeah. So now again, you realize that the order has been upset somewhere. You go to your daughter, but when your wife, who's from the same current family, she's not being answered to. And for a moment, put yourself in your wife's position. How would she feel about it? Just introspect there.
Okay. Also, one, as you rightly said, I did try to, reverse the table, and I think she's very much okay. But at the same time, if she's at my place, and if she gets a call from a mom and a husband, she would first respond to her husband. What you said is right.
Yeah. Okay. So now what you have to start doing, so when you said now, how do I start bringing in change here? So which means that you now look at your wife with the eyes of that you give her the precedence here. It might take some time here, but now that you have this realization, I'm sure you will find ways to how to work through with this. All I can point to is what happens in future. See, when a wife doesn't feel secure in her place as a wife, because she's feeling something lesser there, one of the most easiest things that a woman starts doing is she starts holding the children closer to her. And when the child is closer to the mother, then at the right point of time when the child needs to grow up, see the first exercise that we did, and we'll do a follow through there. So when you're grown up as an adult, you no longer have your strings attached to your parents, but you freely step forward towards your life. Then when one of the parents or the mother, it's generally the mother who holds the children closer. When she feels insecure, she keeps her closer to her. And so at the right time, that the bond between the mother and the daughter, which needs to be loosened up, so that now this child can go and explore her own life, doesn't happen. She's on a string and she's getting pulled back there. So this is one of the repercussions that can happen here. So you have to keep, as you said, that you're worried about what can happen in the future, but rather than giving you specific answers as to how you can make any changes here, I think this realization is good enough. And maybe if you can just dwell on it as to how you have to show her that she is the most significant person in your life. If you make your daughter more significant than your wife, then you are upsetting the balance. The daughter comes from you and your wife. And so what takes precedence for you is your wife and your relationship with your wife. Then comes your daughter. And when this kind of an order is followed, the child now has a very good example as to how to be in a good relationship. Because if she stands too close to you, I think, as I mentioned, then it's a syndrome of being the father's daughter. And then she stands too close to you. When it is the time for her to seek her partner in her life, there are challenges there. Okay?
Oh, wow. You know, this is
Thank you,
like,
Revati. Really, thanks. I appreciate this. Although just a small concern here, this should not upset my mother a bit.
Yes, it's challenging, but I think it is something that maybe we'll just see if we have the time, and we'll make a very small movement here with this. Because if you notice in the last one, I said, no, don't take a step towards your partner. It's, that there was something which I had in mind, so which I kind of stopped there.
Thank you, Revati. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate this.
Thank you.
Thanks for clarifying this in a very, beautiful manner.
I am surprised that this has come up, and I'm really happy it has come up. Even if we can change the positioning of one man in this world,
yes,
there is definitely a possibility. Mr. Izhar Khan, your mom will get definitely upset, but your life will remain calmer in front of the whole generation further getting upset, and you have to make that choice with a small tweak that you can do.
Yes, and I would like to add in something here, Isar. As even when you ask this question,
yeah,
I am in deep respect to your father and mother, because they really have sold. For you to come to this level of realization itself means that they have given you something very beautiful in your life. And this is, once again, a lot of, you can turn back in gratitude towards your parents and then take your place towards your wife, with your wife.
Great. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Wonderful. Let's go to the next person. Amita, please ask your question.
Ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, just a small question. It's from my childhood itself, I generally fight with my mother that you don't love me. And now I have same fight with my husband.
Yes. And take a deep breath there, Amita. Okay? Just take a deep breath there. Amita, this again, once I would say that it's a great thing that you see this here, but this also points to a little deeper work here between you and your mother. You might also want to explore what was your mother's relationship with her own mother. Are you there with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So looks like a whole lineage of women need to be healed here. So I do not know, and I would not want to even get into too much of questioning here or, digging deeper. But what I would just ask you to do right now is hold your mother in your space and hold her mother in your space. Can you do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And for a moment, just see your mother in her own mother's arms. Okay.
Okay.
And you can leave them there to heal. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. And just keep that in your heart. And this is again something that you need to delve a little bit deeper here. But a lot of times what the parents, when our parents don't like something specific about their own parents, they end up behaving exactly in the same way with us. And then we are left carrying that forward. And as I was mentioning that, the way you look at your mother sometimes is exactly the same way you look at your partner. And then momentarily you can tell your husband, you are not my mother. Okay? Tell him, you are not my mother. You are a man. You are a man just like any other man. And see your mother standing somewhere closer behind you and tell him This is about her and me. This has nothing to do with you. Okay? And whenever you feel right, please explore this relationship with your mother.
Wonderful.
Okay.
So, very deep-seated work that is required over there. Thank you. Let's go to the next person, Dr. Nutan.
Yes, Nutan.
रेवती, ऐसा लगता है पिक्चर अभी बाकी है और तुमको वापस आना पड़ेगा मेरी जान.
Actually, ये पता नहीं, Annu, you know what? You are the one who sowed the seeds for this topic. Do you remember?
Yeah, I know that.
And I just I was toying around in my head, is it too heavy to be taken? And because especially on a call like this, we would not want to get too deep because we are doing this work over a group and it's offline and there are a lot of
Revati, they need this work.
Yes. So I'm trying to keep it as light as possible, but yes.
आंसू अच्छे हैं. Like they say, दाग अच्छे हैं, आंसू अच्छे. Dr. Nutan.
Yes, I'm there. I'm listening to both of you. Okay, so in my case, my parents, they still fight like a child. And I feel like I'm a mother.
Can you please repeat that? I could not hear your words exactly there. And it's important.
I see my parents, they still fight like a child.
Okay.
And I feel like I'm mother. I'm mother of 4 people. My husband, my parent, and my own son.
Understood. Yes.
So I actually really don't want my son to get overboarded with this kind of responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to help me to stop here and not to pass on this to my son.
I think that's a lovely thought there. And I think maybe we can do a movement for everybody here that
Great.
I was looking at working over here. Okay, can we do that now?
Absolutely.
Super.
Let's go ahead.
Let's go ahead.
I would just request everybody to once again take a few breaths in and out through your mouth. Maybe 3-4 breaths. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And now come back to normal breathing. And once again, before every movement, I always say, please forget everything that we have discussed so far and just become empty here. And now, with your eyes closed, picture your parents standing in front of you. Mother and father. And as your mother and father stand in front of you, I would just add in something very specific for Nutan here. And if anyone else feels the same, you can just follow through. Nutan, see yourself standing in the center with your mother on one side and your father on one side. And very, very slowly start stepping forward. The ones who don't picture themselves in between their parents can just wait for a moment. And the ones who are in between the parents, very slowly and gently, mindfully, take steps away from your father and mother. And inhale and exhale deeply. Be with this. Be with this. And take about a good 6 steps away from your parents. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Stand there and breathe. And now turn and look at your parents. And everyone else can join in at this point. Look at the father and mother. But as you look at your father and mother, just visualize that your parents are not looking at you. They're looking at each other. And they're looking at each other with the first eyes when they saw each other, and love happened between them. And even if you cannot fathom this love between your parents, there was always a moment when they really came together as a man and woman. and you catch your parents in that moment. No matter how difficult a relationship your parents might have had, there were moments of true love between them. And now you become small and see your parents much taller than you and looking at each other. And see them smiling gently at each other, a soft smile on their face. And when they smile at each other, your father looks at your mother and he nods his head and he says, "You are my wife." And the mother looks at the father and she says, "You are my husband." And if you feel, for some people, you can visualize your parents coming closer and holding hands together. But even if they don't, it's okay. And see the parents looking at each other deep in love, smiling at each other. And when you see them looking at each other with so much of contentment, you stand there and you just fill in your heart with this love happening between your parents. Every couple's love is very special. As a child, it is not our place to comment on what kind of love they have. At a soul level, sometimes the fight is also a way of expressing love. For families who don't know how to express love, they will fight with each other. But yet they interact with each other and they still stay with each other. That is a different kind of love. Don't expect perfection in love. Don't expect the Yash Chopra movie love here. This is honest, genuine, full-blooded, physical reality, here and now love. It's only when both the parents took so much into their heart and at some level of their life accepted each other the way they were, that's when you were born. It's only then you're born. Not every couple is blessed with a child. It's only when something matures between a man and woman, something is completed, is when the sperm enters the egg and an embryo and a beautiful baby later on comes into life. It's not possible without that. So just the fact that all of you have been conceived and you're here today means there was something special between your parents. And right now, you can go back and close your eyes and just witness that special love between your parents. And I think as I'm doing this, I can also feel that happening between my parents. I've also been witness to a lot of things between my parents. But I can feel that love, their love, running through my body. And feel it in your body, feel it in all the cells. And from this place, we go on to the lines which we generally use in constellations. These are the core lines of family constellations. Mother, you are the big one. Father, you are the big one. I am just a child. And I will stay small. So which means when you fight, I will stay out of it because I know this is between the two of you and the two of you can handle it. This is not my place. I have my own man or I have my own woman and I will look at him. And when we also have aging parents, when our parents need certain help, we just do it very cleanly without telling them. Supposing if you have to take your mother to the hospital, you just take her to the hospital and you know in your heart she knows exactly what you have to do. If she's stubborn, you let her be. You don't act bigger than her. Sometimes if it's money that you have to give your parents, you just give them money. You don't tell them what they have to do with it. So you just do and you let it go. You still let them be bigger than you. And so this is the place we will stay with. I am small, you are big. And you tell them, I know there is something special between the two of you. And it's not my place between the two of you. I will stay out. And then you turn around and you look at your life ahead. And you stay in connect with your own life. And then you can take one step further away from your parents if you wish to. And you step out of that intense closeness. You know, the closeness that a baby and a mother has, a 6-7-year-old child who wants to be in the mother's arms all the time. You step out of that sphere and you move towards your own life. And you stay in deep connect with your own life. Because now as you step towards your life, no longer are you a child of your parent. You have matured. You have responsibilities. You will make mistakes and you will bear the consequences of your mistakes. It's no longer like a child. You make a mistake and the parent takes care of you. No. This is what growing up is all about. And I would like to close this movement with you still walking towards your life. That movement is enough. And maybe in your own space, after some time, you will find the essence of your own life. And you can gently open your eyes. It's like, you know, a tree can't grow. I mean, this is a very typical example. A tree can't grow under the shadow of another tree. The seed has to be a few spaces away. Just because the seed is a few spaces away, it doesn't mean there is no connection. I mean, when I was traveling around in Kenya, I came to know that elephants can communicate across hundreds of kilometers, huge kilometers across. The thumping of their feet, they still have this connection with each other. That is how we are connected with our parents. The connection never disappears off. But when we stay too attached, it's like my 6-year-old niece, my brother and when my sister-in-law was staying overnight at the hospital, this girl was restless. And the moment when the mother appeared, she just latched onto the mother. So today, the whole day, she has not left the mother's side. It's a beautiful sight to see. Because as a 6-year-old, she needs the mother. She's dependent on the mother. The human babies are human. We as human babies, we are very dependent on our mothers and our fathers. But now imagine she's 16-year-old and my sister-in-law has to go out. How would we react if she doesn't let the mother go? After a certain point of time, as mothers and as fathers, we need to spend a lot of energy with the young ones. And as we age, we cannot keep doing this all our lives. And then after a certain time, after 6 and 7 years, they are a little bit more independent. And then after they are teenagers, they're a little bit more independent. And then they start telling us stuff like, we don't understand, that's typical teenage behavior. And then you take a step back. And you let them continue with their journey. It's like you let them make the mistakes, you let them learn from their mistakes, you stay behind. It's again like, you know, this is why the legal system in every country has an eye on the right order. What is it that the Juvenile Act is all about? That if somebody is below the age of 16, they cannot be prosecuted because the parents are still responsible in a certain way. And when they grow beyond a certain age, it's again the legal age. When somebody is 18 and a crime is committed, they have to face the consequences in the law of the land. This means that there needs to be space for growth between the child and the parent. And if you're caught parentifying our own parents, we become the universal mother, it's still an attachment to the parents, which actually means, again, Nutan, look in the direction. I know you're a wonderful therapist. Look in the direction. Your parents are seeking their own parents. And so just in the past movement that I made, when a parent seeks a parent, we need to step back and we need to let them heal with their parents. Mind you, we don't imagine that they are healed and the whole lineage is healed. No, that's not what I aim at. Our lineage will have people who are imperfect. Our lineage will have people who murdered. Our lineage will have somebody who is crazy. Our lineage will have somebody who doesn't want to heal at all. We don't try to heal our lineage. We see them for who they are. Because somewhere they are the way that they are, we have these beautiful experiences in our life. And then we go on to complete something for us. That's what we stay at. So I know a lot of times there are sentences used that, when you do family constellations, you heal your lineage. I know that I take that in spirit, but it's not actually that we try to heal the lineage. We heal everything inside of us. That's what we are. And the more whole we are, the more we will see the partner for who he or she exactly is. And that is the moment. This is not a blind relationship. This is a true seeing relationship. The movies are beautiful, but they sometimes mess up our idea of love. See, teenage love is different. I mean, imagine your first crush and imagine looking at somebody with the same eyes today. It belongs in a different era. That's a learning experience. That's called as blind love. We want to see a perfect partner because we are looking at the mother or the father, and the parent is always perfect for us. No matter even if they fight, every parent is perfect for us. So we seek some kind of a perfection in the partner, which is a fallacy. That's blind love. And then our heart is going to break one day. And it's great it breaks. Because only mature people have a heartbreak because we have a strong container to deal with that heartbreak. And then we move on. Maybe a little broken, but we move on in our lives. And then we have had something beautiful in our lives. And then we see the other person for who or he or she exactly is. Maybe a little crazy, maybe a little angry, but we are strong enough to deal with that. That's what we stay with. That's the beginning of an actual relationship.
Wonderful. Yeah. We have two people asking question. First is Izhar Khan.
Yes.
Sorry, we are already having time, but I just need to
no
ask.
Worries.
So, Revati, I have one of my friends who normally talks to me. This is just touching upon a topic where now, in this topic, I realize that once this behavior is there, this can carry on to your next relationship once you get married. So, a very, very common thing is that when you have children and the first one normally gets a different behavior and the others get a different behavior, which really pisses them off. So what would you suggest why that happens and how they can deal with this?
You mean to say when two children are different?
No, for example, if there's a first child, behavior will be different and he'll be getting different respects and the way.
Sorry, let me just understand, from the parent towards the child?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, they behave differently with the firstborn and they behave differently with the secondborn.
Yes, and the secondborn is really messed up and pissed off, and why everything this happens with me, and the way they behave with the first one is not the same. This is not my case, but just
okay. You know what? Okay, I think the way I would say it is, it depends on what age group this child behaves and how deep this is. Because honestly, the firstborn, for the parents, they even don't know how to parent. I mean it's a completely new experience. They are learning there. By the time the second one comes along, it's a different experience for them. In the order of the family, the firstborn always holds a special place. It doesn't mean that the next child is any lesser for the parent, but the firstborn is the one who has made the parents parents. They have experienced parenthood, motherhood, fatherhood for the first time ever. So that child remains special. And then when the second one comes, it's not a new experience. They may be more refined parents there. So now here, it's the work for the parents to set the right order in the family. The first one and the second one, each of them has a special place. So this is what the parents should work towards. Looks like there is, when I say the word order, it seems a little mechanical here. And orders are normally, they are arrived at. They are not imposed. This is not like a rule that needs to be imposed. It's something that happens from within. So the parents have to learn to give the right place to each child. One is the first place that they give a lot of attention towards is their own relationship. They have to be more important towards each other over and above each of their children. Then the second is they pay attention to the eldest and then the younger one, which doesn't mean that there is a differentiation here, but this is exactly how it goes. If this order is followed in the right way, the younger one also accepts this. Now, if they were to suddenly start giving too much of attention to the younger child, then in the long term, some order has not been followed, and this can have larger repercussions. At a younger age, most siblings have some kind of a rivalry, but it settles down. This is something in general here. Again, as I say, if there is something very specific, then it needs to be looked at in particular, in specific detail as to what exactly is happening in this family system. But if you want to suggest something to your friends, then you can just suggest that, spend a little bit time with your wife first. Let the children know that she's very important from him and they have a strong relationship together. And then wait for everything else to fall in place.
All right, Revati.
That was beautiful.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
We have Shamla with a question, and I have a very significant question for you. Shamla, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, Revati. How are you?
Yes. Hi, Shamla.
So basically, as you said, that the behavior of the parents, it impacts, oneself. And as I remember that I have a very bad experience about my father's behavior. And I still have so many memories for which I actually do not respect him anymore. I don't respect him basically. And also, does it impact my relationship with my husband? Firstly, secondly, the memories or the experience that I have, will it impact my children's behavior towards their partners?
Okay. How old are your children?
My elder daughter, she is married. I have 3 children. So the younger 2, they are not married yet. My elder daughter, she is married, and she is also facing some problem with.
Okay. So that's the first thing that I would ask here is, rather than asking me whether there will be a challenge, you have to introspect, and do you feel that is there a challenge in any of the areas of your life?
Yes, I am facing. That is the reason that I'm asking you. I mean, like, does it impact the relationship with your partner, the experience of your parents? Because I'll tell you one more thing. My father, he was very biased towards my brother, and that is the reason I feel that, I mean, like, how can a male or maybe a man be more powerful than a woman, and that thing maybe is like. There in my heart, and I feel that no. I mean, like, whenever that anything happens with my husband, so I feel that how can you be so great, or maybe you can be powerful than me. No, like some experience, some memories are there, like, which I feel
Understood.
yeah
Understood. So so this is, again, I would rather have you explore this separately, because this is already you're seeing the results or the consequences of it in your life. This is father work, and here it's not just about your father, but it is also work with your mother as well. Because it is about both your parents here. I mean, I do not know, and maybe it's not best to get into deeper into it, but you also have to see how was your father with your mother, and how was their relationship, how did you feel with your mother. Are you kind of recreating a pattern that your mother and father have had? What is it? So there are a lot of things here that you would need to explore here.
One more thing I would like to tell you, that here, if I talk about my in-laws, my father-in-law here, I mean, like, in this family also, my father-in-law created such a problem between me and my husband. So basically, for me, the male figure has always created.
It's about the healing with the men, which is not surprising, because typically when I'm not saying you are saying this, but in most of the times when people come in with relationships, they say, okay, this is to do with the father or the mother, it's over, I don't need to look at it. So which is why I use the words that every partner is a perfect partner for you, because what is left incomplete with your parents is what the partner continues. They end up becoming a mirror for you to look back into your past and heal, because these are all energies, anger, whatever that you've experienced, these are all energies, and energy doesn't disappear off. It has to be transmuted into something higher. And in the absence of that kind of a vessel, we are shown a mirror and something gets recreated over there, and it's an opportunity for you to go back and work with the place from it began. Now if your father has given more importance to your son, to your brother, it still means work with your entire family of origin, your parents, your brother, you, because it doesn't mean that a son is being preferred over a daughter. It doesn't mean that the parent is a better parent for the son. It doesn't mean that. The sons also have their own challenges there.
And will it impact, my children? Like, and
It's
how
all
do
possible. See, it's all possible, Shamala. But you can definitely go deeper into it. You can bring in work in your own heart, and you can work towards a closure and completion for yourself. But however, when your children are grown beyond a certain point of time, see, there is a reason that they have come through you, and you have still given your children whatever is essential in this life. You have given them. And now you can trust them to find their own journey in their own life. So whatever you do may positively impact your children, but they also need to work towards their own healing. Especially when somebody becomes an adult, he or she is responsible for their own healing. And you can always set your children free. You can trust them. See, these are some words that you can use. You can do whatever best you can for yourself, but you can trust your children to find their path in their life.
All right. Thank you, Revati, so much. Thank you.
Revati, one burning question that has not been picked up, and I have seen a lot of clients suffering from it.
Please.
So there is a family member in my family. That's my Masi, who fell in love with the guy when she was 16 years of age. Madly in love with him.
Okay.
But because he was not of the same Jat, Gotra and everything else, she was married off to the right eligible bachelor that, according to my Nana, where she should have got married. She never forgot this man. All her life she prayed that if she could have just a glimpse of him once. In fact, all her life she spent searching for this guy. And then her prayers were answered. He calls her up and says, my son is getting married and I would like you to come to my son's wedding. And the whole relationship started off again. And though she is with her husband, she's tried everything. You can call it obsession, you can call it love, you can call it whatever. She thinks she's Veer Zara story going on, and she cannot. I've seen her sobbing, I've seen her crying, I've seen her laughing, I've seen her being labeled as schizophrenic, I've seen her in different stages. She has tried everything possible, according to her, to forget the guy, but she isn't able to forget. Now, I'm giving this example because I know there are a lot of people who may not ask this tricky question. So the question is, if there's more than one partner, one that you're staying with, one that you are actually in love with, what happens then of the marriage? It could be from the man's side or the woman's side. Okay, thank you so much for giving your time. It really means a lot.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome. See, Anu, there are still many topics under this heading here. So while what you have pointed out towards is, so while I talked about something to do with current family of origin, so now here the current family has completely got messed up. So she has a partner here. She has her husband, and then she goes to the other man. Okay. Yes. Now, technically, the current family, see, as we all understand at an energy level, the universe does not understand the concept of marriage. It's just a legal entity for the whole society.
Oh yeah,
definitely. The bond that she's creating with it's about creating a bond. And the amount of affection and connection that you shower with each other, and yes, sometimes it's also the sexual connection.
Yes.
That creates a deep bond.
Yeah.
So when one has multiple partners, this actually is a complete topic by itself.
Okay.
What happens is when any person, a man and woman, they have another relationship and they're engaging in a relationship, then technically the first marriage is kind of, the first relationship is over and the second one takes precedence. So I'll give you an example. I don't know, I mean, I love to take these examples out of movies and mythology.
Yeah.
Raja Dashrath with his 3 wives.
Yes.
Invariably, in every mythological tale, the youngest queen is his favorite.
Yes.
Does everything for the youngest one, and the elder ones are a little jealous, and whatever happens there.
Yes.
Because the latest one is the most important, is the current bond or the current relationship that he has. And so, well, yes, that is the person he needs to be with. Now, it's every person said, that's why work with the parents is important here, because let's not like kind of give her a name, you know, for such a person, just a question, this man, how older is he to her?
To my aunt?
Yeah.
Probably same age as her.
Same age as hers. Okay.
Yeah.
So in this case, whenever there is any kind of an obsession, Anu, because you use the word obsession.
Yeah, it is like obsession. Like, you know, when I've seen her crying, it's almost like I want to give up on this guy. And then I've seen the same thing in my clients, and it's like they are trying their best to take this person out of their life. They know it's not okay.
It's not okay.
They know cognitively, and yet they can't do anything.
They cannot. So this is a place that there is something lacking between the parents, especially the mother. It is still good, solid parental work, which is why any kind of work within a relationship, you need to start off with the parents, especially in cases like this. But yes, from a family order perspective, this is completely upsetting the dynamics. And sometimes there are people who would just have relationships or maybe a sexual bond and come back, you know, they're staying with the same man or woman, but they're going out multiple times. Every time we have more than one partner, we look at relationship with the mother. The intimacy between the child and the mother has completely not been formed and not been explored completely.
Got it.
What happens is when you are with one person, you get so intimate with that person that you can share yourself vulnerably the way you are. And when that is stopped with the mother in this way, this is how it goes with every person. There is a man, there is a husband, but I just stay with one person, I will become intimate with them. So I go to another one and I keep him there. I can't be here, I can't be there. Sometimes things can happen in life, and a cleaner way is if there is a good solid foundation with the parents, it can be a clean decision. This marriage, something might be lacking there, so for her to move on to someone else, it's quite possible. But it means cleanly she's able to move on. Yes, that's over. There are good solid ways of accepting a separation and moving on in your life.
Got it. Understood.
And yes, there are still, like, you know, I've jotted down so many points. There are still
what
a lot of things to be done. We've just kind of scratched the tip of the iceberg here.
I know. I'm really grateful, because this was one topic I was wanting from the depth, because people don't ask these questions. And maybe you never know, because I was first planning to stop and halt this program on the 30th. But after hearing Saurabh yesterday, he candidly told me, don't do that.
Oh, lovely.
Please go ahead and at least do it 3 times. So I won't do it 3 times, at least do it 2 times a week. And that's how it will go. I don't know how long it will go. As long as the universe supports, it will go. So if you are kind enough, you can probably come back and maybe talk to us. Thank you so much.
Yes, totally to that. In fact, Anu, I'm saying that, yes, based on, you know, I had to say this, you know, when we spoke yesterday, there was a line that you said yesterday, and I took it into my heart. You said this in very beautiful Hindi, the way you speak. I can't say that. But the sense of it for me was to just surrender and go with it. Do you believe what happened after I surrendered? All the scares that we had, one by one, started just dissolving.
Your brother became okay, Anna?
Not just okay, there is nothing anatomically which is wrong.
Yeah,
it's just a one-off thing. And everything has fallen in place. And, you know, I was just so excited and looking forward to doing this. And I could just come back to my level of excitement that, you know, like, this is beautiful. I really enjoy this. And I just kept that in my hand, so in my head. So what you said about doing it, continuing this, please surrender to it.
Yeah, because he said to me candidly, are you getting overwhelmed with it? If that's the story, then do it at least 3 times a week. And I looked at him and I said, that's exactly what my son had told me. Do it every alternate day, Mom, but don't stop. And I will surrender to that completely. And I know the universe will take over, because this is not in my service. This is in service of everyone right now. Believe me, this is coming from a place where things are just it's happening.
Yeah.
So I will allow it to happen. And now, thank you so much for that for today. Vinaifa, are you ready? I'm not asking for anyone's feedback because I know it was fantastic. Go put it on the Facebook or on the WhatsApp group. I will include you in the WhatsApp group, Revati, so you'll be able to see all the comments, and I also pick up all the comments and put them on the Facebook anyways.
Thank you so much. Thank you
I've
so much.
also created a page in the last 2 days because my tomorrow's speaker insisted that he wanted an event and page, and I first got irritated. And then I said, there's an opportunity there for everyone. So we made the page and we did everything.
That's
and so things are just growing like that. Somebody says do it and we say, okay, fine, we'll do it.
Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely. Thank you so much, Anu, and this has been truly an honor. And yes to this completely.
Thank you. So you've helped us so much today to introspect, to get into our soul, to understand the significant other, because that significant other is really important. Let's give you something back in return. We have a beautiful angel here who reads angels.
Oh, yes. And she's absolutely beautiful.
She's beautiful inside out. And I'm going to ask you, Binaifa, to send me more details on you so that I can put it in a Facebook in a nicer way. I can host you more better, because when we're doing something, let's do it gracefully. Okay. So please read for my host today. Please not host. Please read for my beautiful friend here.
Yes, thank you, Revati. As usual, amazing session.
Thank you.
And today again is very special because 3 of my very good friends are on. One is Revati, one is Karuna, and one is Priyanka Patel.
Oh, so Priyanka still hasn't been on a forum in the way of talking, but we will make that happen soon.
Yes.
If you are interested,
And and I think on saying Karuna, I've seen her, and it's just so beautiful to always see Karuna.
Yes.
There is
Cat manje Billy. Cat.
Yeah.
Huh.
So on this special day, Revati, I shall pick 3 cards for you.
Lovely.
तेरा दिन अच्छा था, 2 से ऊपर नहीं उठाती है.
Today's special day, no 3 friends, so 3 cards.
3 cards.
Lovely. This is my special day.
Yes. Go ahead.
So the first card that you got is Archangel Michael, who is saying, remember who you are. You are a powerful, loving, and creative child of God. You are very loved.
I love. Thank you.
The second card is Angel Omega, and it's a beautiful unicorn, actually more of a Pegasus.
Okay. Wow.
Okay. So he is saying victory.
Okay.
Your desire is coming to fruition. Keep up the good work.
Wow. Thank you so much for what you do.
And the third card is about clairaudience, Archangel Zadkiel, who is saying, notice the loving guidance you hear inside your mind or from other people. Now, this has come reverse. So this is what you should be doing. And it's coming to you, but you're not doing it. So please go ahead and do it.
Yes, thank you.
तेरी दूसरी 2 सहेलियों के लिए पढ़ दे आज.
Of course, I was going to ask you that please come and do it today.
पहले प्रियंका के लिए पढ़ दे, फिर करुणा के लिए पढ़ दे, फिर आरती के लिए. तीनों तेरी फ्रेंड्स जो यहाँ हैं.
Yeah, of course, Aarti also. Yeah, how can I forget?
Oh, sorry, Aarti. Lovely. Thank you, Priyanka. Lots of love. This is beautiful. I will keep this in my heart. Thank you.
Thank you. Priyanka, you have any questions, or should I just pick up for you?
Go ahead. I trust the flow. Go ahead.
अनु, प्रियंका का गाना.
प्रियंका तेरा गाना इसके बाद इसका गाना ये गा सकती है तो मुझे कॉपीराइट की प्रॉब्लम नहीं होगी. खुद का है फिल्मी है?
फिल्मी खुद का कोई नहीं है बाबा।
अच्छा
दिल से निकलेगा।
पढ़ो
Go
पढ़ो।
ahead.
I picked up one angel card and one tarot card. So the angel card is about Angel Teresa, who is saying take time out. You've been so busy taking care of everyone else's needs, but now it's time to stop and take care of yourself. Please do that. Please do that. You're not doing that. And the other one is it's telling you to just have a little control over your mind. I don't know, maybe right now there's something ulta pulta happening in your brain, and it's like you are waiting for some disaster to happen.
Okay.
So please don't just come out of that mindset of yours, because there's nothing wrong. You are just overthinking about something which is not required. So chill.
Thank you. Chill. Yes.
करुणा के लिए
Karuna, any questions?
Karuna, question.
I really don't have questions. So what is it that is coming towards me? I'm not listening probably.
Okay.
मेरा दिल किया तेरे लिए ये कहने को करुणा। सवाल इतने हैं, पूछूं क्या ये समझ नहीं आ रही है। सवाल इतने हैं, पूछूं क्या ये समझ नहीं आ रही। अगर पूछने लगूंगी तो सवाल ही सवाल रह जाएंगे, जवाब मिलेगा नहीं।
So typical of Anu when she sees Karuna.
Okay.
So I have common. Wherever I will go, I'm going to trigger something.
Nice. So Karuna, for you, first is just try and be a little more stable emotionally. Right now you are thinking too much about things which may not be possible for you to do right now. Maybe in the future, but not right now. Second, I picked up an angel card for you, which is Archangel Zadkiel, and he's talking about compassion. So he says, soften your heart with respect to this situation and all the people involved, including yourself. So be kind to yourself first, and then spread that love.
करुणा तेरे लिए बहुत सारा प्यार।
Karuna, if you're trying to levitate by any chance, now is not the time in lockdown to levitate. Wait for 3-4 months, you will be able to do that.
Aarti.
Aarti, any questions?
No questions. I'll go with the flow.
Okay.
तो फ्लो में जा रहे हैं यार, पानी में।
पहले रेवती ने बहा दिया, अब तुम सारे इकट्ठे बहाओगे क्या?
मोदी भाई।
Anu is in our element right now. We can't do anything. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So Aarti, you have also got the same card as Priyanka. Just don't ask for a disaster to happen. Just release whatever negative thoughts you're getting right now, because there's nothing wrong. Everything will return to normal. So just relax. The angel card I picked up for you is Archangel Jophiel, who is saying your dreams are blooming more rapidly than you realize. Still, they need nurturing and patience. So just be a little relaxed. It's a very cute angel who's watering plants.
Yeah, I love this card.
Yeah.
थैंक यू। विनय सर, आप मैं आपको रिक्वेस्ट करूं, आज आप मेरे लिए पढ़ दो और किसी और के लिए मत पढ़ना।
अभी अच्छा सा पढ़ो विनय सर, अनु के लिए।
प्लीज किसी और के लिए मत पढ़ना, बस हो गया।
Tin tin din din din.
Yes.
I'm also waiting for disaster to happen.
I'm zipping my mouth.
अच्छा प्यारे पास हमारे घबराए।
Oh God, Anu, this is the second time you got this card. And I have to read this first.
कहाँ क्या है? कुछ तो है। ये क्या है? हमको नहीं
देखा, ठीक से देखा?
हाँ देखा।
It's Angel Chantal, who is saying new romance is imminent, either with a newcomer or through reignited passion in your existing relationship. Be open to giving and receiving love.
क्या बोलूं यार
आज मूवमेंट किया ना, आज मूवमेंट किया ना रेवती ने,
बस बस आज रात को मूवमेंट होने वाला है. Okay, let's not get into gory stuff. Okay, मैं recording
second card, Anu. Wait, second card. Second card is telling you that you are the only prisoner of your mind. So please release whatever is not required, because there is nothing actually stopping you. Things are open and you can move out of any situation, any place at any time that you want to. So don't let your thoughts or anything else hold you back.
यार serious मत करो.
अनु